Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre is a 1948 Western film that was written and directed by John Huston. It's an adaptation of B. Traven's 1927 novel of the same name. The movie stars Humphrey Bogart, Walter Huston, Tim Holt, and Bruce Bennett. The storyline goes that Fred C. Hobbs and Bob Curtin are both down on their luck in Tampico, Mexico in 1925, and they end up meeting up with a grizzled old prospector named Howard, and they decide to join with him in a search for gold in the wilds of central Mexico. Through enormous difficulties, they eventually succeed in finding gold, but bandits, the elements, and most especially greed threaten to turn their success into disaster. John Huston, the director, was completely fascinated with the mysterious writer B. Traven, who was a recluse living in Mexico. Traven approved the director and his screenplay all by letter. He then sent his intimate friend, Hal Croves, to the location to be a technical advisor on the film. All this was done for the price of $150 a week. The general consensus, though, is that Croves was in fact Traven, though he always denied this. All we really know is that B. Traven was a pen name, and that his true identity still remains a mystery to this day. John Huston, the director, was always a practical joker, and he played one of his famous jokes on Bruce Bennett in the campfire scene when he sits down to eat a plate of stew. The actor knew that his character was starving, so he wolfed the food down as quickly as possible to make it seem appropriate for that scene. Huston then demanded another take, and then another, and then another. All these additional takes were rapidly filling up the actor as he had to eat more and more stew to make the scenes. Unbeknownst to him, the director Huston had been happy with the very first take all along, and that the cameras weren't even rolling for the second, third, and fourth take. As soon as the joke was completely revealed, the director added insult to injury by calling for a lunch break on the set. Bogart was really fond of working with the director John Huston, and he enjoyed this experience immensely. But Bogart found him to be quite the perfectionist, which led to some really grueling and exhausting days on location. He said the director wanted everything perfect for every shot, and he would do whatever it took to get that shot in the film. He would have the crew and cast fording streams, walking through snake-infested areas in the scorching sun, just to get the shot perfectly right. As the production dragged on, Bogart, who was an avid yachtsman, was starting to get increasingly anxious about missing the Honolulu Classic, which is a Catalina Island to Hawaii race that he usually took part in. Despite assurances from the studio that he would be wrapped in time on the picture to make it there, he started to constantly dog the director about whether or not he would be done in time. Eventually, Huston had had enough, and he grabbed Bogart by the nose and twisted really hard. Bogart never asked him again how long it would be before shooting was over. Just as filming was about to start to shoot the scenes in Tampico, Mexico, the production was shut down by local government. The cast and crew were at a complete loss to understand why, since the residents of the government of Tampico had been so generous to all of them in the past few days. It turns out that the local newspaper printed a false story that accused the filmmakers of making a production that was unflattering to Mexico. The director soon found out why the newspaper did this. You see, it's real customary in this area to slide a little money toward the editor of the newspaper to make him print something nice. This was something that the crew failed to do. Fortunately, 2 of the director's associates went to bat for the director with the president of Mexico. They had an inside track on it. The libelous accusations were then dropped, and it just so happens that a few weeks later, that editor of the newspaper was caught in the wrong bed and shot dead by a jealous husband. John Huston also played a prank on Humphrey Bogart in the scene where he has to reach under a rock for the hidden gold, and he's told that an extremely venomous lizard has crawled under there. The director put a mousetrap in there where he had to reach. Bogart, thinking that he had been bitten by the big lizard, jumped back several feet after the mousetrap snapped on his finger. Humphrey Bogart started losing his hair around 1947. This was about the same time that he was making the movie Dark Passage. This is thought that it was caused partly because of the hormone shots that he was taking to improve his chances of having a child with his wife, Lauren Bacall. But he did wear a wig throughout the entire shoot, albeit one that was artfully tailored so that it didn't show very much at all. While on location, the director Huston took a little Mexican boy named Pablo under his wing. The child ran errands for the director and generally acted like the crew mascot. When it came time for Huston to close up shop in Mexico, he chose to adopt Pablo, and he brought him back to the United States to live with him and his second wife, who was actress Evelyn Keyes. One would think that the director would have prepared his wife for this new additional family member, but he didn't. When his wife found out about it, she was beside herself, and that oversight precipitated their divorce a short time later. Pablo went on to be educated in the United States and eventually got married and had 3 children. But Pablo later deserted his family and he returned to Mexico City to become a used car salesman. If you've never seen this grand movie, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's one of my all-time favorites. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.